dear ones. It's Filming Friday, and I'm so excited to be here with you today for our Stitch-A-Thon. And my idea was that I would be stitching, you would be stitching, I would be chatting quietly with you, and you know, that we would just have a wonderful video of stitching together. So we're going to do that right away, but first let me introduce myself and my husband to all of you who are new, all our new subbies. My name is Caterina. All my friends call me Cat, and my husband Don Digison and I created this channel about 3 years ago, and we thank you for your subscriptions, for your shares, for your thumbs up, for your likes, for your wonderful comments, all those things. And there are 3 ways that you can support us. The first one is in the descriptions. There are 2 ways that you can support us in the descriptions below, and that is through our tip jar. We want to thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for the kind tips that you've left us. And the other way is through our Amazon links. You can either purchase a product or use one of our links to go get whatever you want, and that creates our good too, so we thank you for that. The other way is that you can buy a piece of my art, and Don will put that address on the screen for you so that you can go to my site, click 142 Bis Gallery, and purchase anything you want. We have free shipping in the United States, so there's that. We're going to get started stitching right now. Well, when last we met, I had dyed fabrics, and so these are blueberries and salted blueberry, and then tea dyed, and these are black bean, and these are an assortment of black bean and blueberries, different colors of blues. And we did some wonderful resists, and I folded this piece up, and then more tea dyes here with the paper. So what I did was I decided that I would iron all of them so they're nice and flat, and also to give it a heat resist. And so then I wanted to put together a little group of things to use for stitching. So, so I thought I would use some papers and some scrap bits of lace, ribbons, sheer fabrics, little pieces that I've stitched before. And then I have lots of little strings and some sari ribbons and different kinds of ribbons and pieces, some some kitchen twine, things like that all together so that we can use those for stitching. And then some assorted threads, and I also have gel matte medium in case you need that. You know where you can go on our links, and some water and a brush. And so those are all the supplies. So if you wanted to stop now and get all of your things together so we can stitch together, that would be perfect. So where we're starting today is we're going to make pages, because remember I told you this is the second in a 3-part series. So first we dyed the cloth, and now we're going to use that dyed cloth to make pages. And this is a page that I made. And the pages are going to go into a book. And I have the prototype of the book right here. This is the page size. But we're going to make a much prettier book than this. This is just a mock-up. And of course our pages will be fabric, and they'll be paper pages. They won't be just the plain khadi, but this gives you an idea. And it's going to be a string book, and it's going to be super yummy. And so today we're going to make the pages, and next time we get together we'll make the book. So I'm just going to set that aside. So this is the basic page size, and I can cut them down if I want to, or they might just stick out of the book. That would be yummy too. So I love this page. This is black bean, and this is what I call murdered sari silk. That means that I over-dyed, sometimes I bleach them, I do all kinds of things, wash them over and over again. And then this is my star stitch, one of my stitches that I do a lot that I really love, with some very heavy-duty upholstery thread. So I love that one. That one's finished. And then this one too, if you're on social media, you've probably seen both of these. This page is tea dyed. And then this is one of my painted fabrics that we did for the video that was monoprinting on fabric. So that's one of those pieces, and I just simply stitched it and then put it on here, stitched here. So I just love these yummy stitches. So we're going to have two-sided pages. We can decide which ones go on the top and which ones go fit on the bottom, and we're going to be able to put them in, take them out of our book, and stitch wherever we want. So it's going to be way fun, don't you think? So this may be finished, this may not, but right now we're going to set that one aside, and we're going to work on this piece today. And this is, I hope you can see the color variation in this, because if you saw our last video, then you know we used lemon slices, and this is tea dye with lemon slices. So it made these wonderful splotches on here, which I just think is so pretty, so yummy. So I have my chai tea, and I'm all ready to get started stitching. Yummy, tastes really good. I cut just part of this piece off. This is my prototype page out of cotty paper, and I'm just gonna tear it, which it's working quite well. Very nice with the fabric to tear so nice and neatly. Isn't that great? And then I'm just gonna cut this edge off, and we'll use this edge for something else. And we'll have our first page. So we'll save this scrap to use for something else, but I just love the mottled look of this. I hope you can see that. I know it's kind of a dark day. I'll move the tea out of the way. So we're gonna have another storm today, so it's always stormy on Fridays, isn't it? It's just kind of crazy. All right, so I love these edges. I think that's really cool. And I love this rounded shape here, so I think I'm gonna plunder my scraps here and see what I like, maybe to mirror the... I have my needle threaded with it's a very lightweight upholstery thread. It's super strong, and I love using upholstery threads. I like using different thicknesses of threads in the work. Lots of different kinds of things, coat fabric, old coat fabric, and that kind of thing. And I'm not paying attention to, you know, what it's going to look like. I just like the circle image and this circle, the thought of putting the two circles together and stitching this down. And so I'm just going to start doing that. And I generally come in from the back, and I don't knot. I don't know if you're a knot maker or not, but I'm not a knot person. I am a, I don't know what I am, but not a knot person. I like to just tack it down and then cut off the piece. So that's how I start. And when I am slow stitching, I don't care about what it looks like or what's going on it. I'm just not thinking about anything like that. I'm just stitching. And I've been putting stitches in my work for a very long time. I think probably 2007, 2008, I started doing stitches as little marks of intention in my work, making a different kind of mark than a pencil or a pen or with a paintbrush, just the thread. And I've always loved to do needlework. In fact, sewing or stitching, and because I'm so short, I've always had to alter clothes, sometimes to fit. So, so I'm just gonna get this circle on here. And so for me, stitching is also another way of moving away from a sense of perfectionism. And you know how much I dislike perfectionism. To me, it's the opportunity to just let what happens happens, and to embrace not only the front side of the fabric, but whatever the back side of the fabric looks like too. So in other words, in this piece, this is the back, this was the front, but I love the back as much as I do the front side. I just think it's just beautiful, because this all happens on its own, right? With no control whatsoever. So this side is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And now I can just snip that off. And we have an opportunity to do something fun on the back too. So in our Facebook group, I have a private Facebook group, I asked everybody what they wanted to hear today. Since we were just going to be stitching and chatting quietly and drinking our tea, you know, what did they want me to talk about, since we're really not talking much about technique or anything like that. And everybody said, well, not everybody, but 3 people asked me some questions. And the first one was about my disappointments, my artistic disappointments. And I just kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I've had so many artistic disappointments. I tried to think, you know, how do I narrow it down to just, you know, 1 or something like that, or 2. So I thought I would just talk about the latest one. So it was Barbara who asked me what my disappointments were, what my artistic disappointments were. And so I thought I would just, I mean, there have been so many, so I'm just going to share the latest one. So I sent a piece to a pretty famous magazine to enter in a contest, and they didn't choose my piece. And so that was this is just, you know, how long ago? A few months ago? A couple months ago? Maybe longer than that. He's shrugging his shoulders. You can't hear that. So, but anyway, and you know, as an artist, you just have to recognize that not everybody is going to, you know, like your work or understand it. And one of the pieces that I created, the piece that I actually sent to them, was called Two Sides of the Same Story. And it was a piece from my my Ripped and Torn series, and which I particularly love and I think is really good work. But I also know that sometimes I do things that are, you know, maybe a little visionary or out there, right?
Yes, dear.
So that's really okay. It's okay, you know, and it's okay to not be understood. It's okay to not garner the recognition that you think that your work possibly, you know, should garner. It's really okay. And as an artist, you have to be comfortable with that. You have to be okay with it. You have to know that you're creating art. I'm creating art for myself. And if it sells or it's taken into a show or some kind of exhibit, then that's great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too, because you're making it because you have to create it. Okay, am I perfectly in the frame now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking for some piece of gauzy material. I like this. I love this. I love these. Something that just speaks to me, and that's just not quite it, although I do love this piece. You can do so many things with painted fabrics. It's not quite the right shape. I'd like to mirror this edge here. Play with it. This is murdered sari silk. Isn't it gorgeous? I just think it's so pretty. It's been washed over and over again. Now I want something really wispy. Ooh, this would work. Let's put this on there. So anyway, so many disappointments, and that was just the most recent, but lots of shows that I didn't get into, lots of opportunities that, you know, just didn't come my way, and obviously it wasn't supposed to happen. I don't know who taught me to not knot. I think it was my maternal grandmother, because she taught me how to, well, actually both my grandmothers taught me a little bit about sewing, but my paternal grandmother not so much, but my maternal grandmother thought that I should be the next Coco Chanel, which was not in my plan at all. And so she taught me how to hem and, you know, make some basic embroidery stitches, things like that. And I really treasured that time with her. That was just, it was awesome. Awesome to be able to have that experience stitching with her. And she died, you know, when I was quite young, so I have those lovely memories of her, and this gift that she gave me of this love of thread and needles and fabric. So I'm just finishing off this piece, and I like the raggedy look of the cheesecloth, and I'm just going to finish my stitches here and cut them off here. Sometimes, you know me, I like them hanging too, because I think threads are so cool. They look so gorgeous. So okay, so I like that. I like that very much, and I might come back with some kind of ribbon around the edge of this, so that there's or maybe cording or something, but it's done for now. We're going to move on to another piece. But yeah, I might do that, and I might put something more on here too. We'll see, but yummy. Okay, we'll set that one aside and we'll start on another one. Yummy chai. Okay, I've switched up from upholstery thread to embroidery floss, and I decided that this would make a lovely page. This is one of those prints that we made with the gel matte medium, and this side is really pretty too. It's got, I don't know if you can see that it's kind of mottled. And I'm sorry it's so dark today. We're going to have another storm, I told you that, so we could have some thunder and lightning going on here pretty soon. So I've just simply used my page template, and so that I can keep them all in a relatively uniform size, and I'm just going to tear it and then save that piece. And I love the edge. I just think it's so pretty, and so I think I'm going to play with this just a bit. This is kind of pretty on there. Ooh, I do like that. That looks pretty cool. Maybe a sheer someplace. Yeah, we'll see about that, but this looks good. I like that. Okay, so question number 2 came from my dear friend Isabel. Hi, Isabel. It's Saturday where you are, probably. And Isabel wanted to hear how I came to make the decision to make art a full-time job, full-time career. And so yeah, that was an interesting decision. Actually, somebody made it for me. I was, I think it was just before I turned 50, and my friend Lydia Garcia had a gallery in Taos, New Mexico, and she was such a dear heart. She is such a dear heart. I think she's still with us, at least I hope so. I haven't heard anything. And she invited me to take part in a collaborative show called Pure Joy. And I sold both pieces that I created for that show at the show. And she came over to congratulate me and told me that I had sold my work and said, so now this means you have to make it a full-time career, right? And I just laughed and I said, I guess you're right. I guess it's time to do it. And she said, yes, it is. So that's how I made the decision. Somebody kind of made it for me and said, you have to do this now. What a dear heart Lydia Garcia is. So that's how it came to pass, Isabel. And it was time, you know, doing things for other people, different careers in my life, and it was time to devote all my attention to art. This 2-ply embroidery floss is a little wily. It's just moving all over the place. So it's making me concentrate a little bit more, give my attention to it. You know how attention is one of the highest forms of prayer, I think, and love. Giving your attention to something. And stitching for me is also a form of wonderful meditation, slow stitching. And I, you know, don't really have any agenda. I'm making these pages for a book, but you know, it doesn't have to be beautiful. No one has to ever see it. It's just going to be for me, nobody else. And love the idea of the fern and the flower living together on this page. Just think that's really fun. Just putting a few little stitches on here, just plain stitches, just a stitch. And enjoying that meditative process. And so something that you don't know about me maybe is that I've been a meditator for many years. I learned how to meditate in my 20s. Not that I was very good at doing it on a regular basis when I was in my 20s, because I certainly wasn't. I certainly didn't meditate on a regular basis. But as I got into my 40s, I got much better at it. And so lately, I used to always do a sitting meditation. Lately, I've really enjoyed walking meditation. It's been great to have that sense of movement, and that just kind of takes you out of your body, and it allows me to I don't know, it's like the body being, you know, unplugged, and you're just kind of floating and just allowing a sense of calm and peace to just fill you. Anyway, that's what happens for me. And it's like that for me with stitching too. Same thing. Just peaceful. Yum. I'll probably continue that, but I think we're going to move on to the next page. And this is the way I work in the studio. I usually work on 2 or 3 things at a time, so if you were here in the studio with me, I would have probably had all of the pages cut and ready to go so that I could just stitch and then move on to the next one and the next one, or go to a painting or whatever, because I like to work on lots of things at one time. I like having that sense of mobility, and when one thing gives me a bit of trouble, or I can't figure out what's happening, or actually I'm just not listening, then I just move on. So I like that. Okay, we're going to move on to the next page, and I'm going to pull this stitch down. So this is the last page that we're going to make today, and I've already cut it so that it's pretty close. This one's really big, but it's pretty close to the other sizes. So some of them will be a little bigger, a little smaller. It doesn't really matter. They're all going to be yummy. And so I like the way this looks, this sari silk. And this piece, someplace maybe on the back. But anyway, so the last question came from Terry, my friend Terry. And what did she ask? She asked me, tell us about yourself, your art journey, and through other mediums. So, well, let's see. So I had a lot of training that was pretty classical. A lot of private classes as a child. So we did still lifes and things like that, and we learned to do figure drawing. And so I did a lot with acrylic and watercolor, that kind of thing. And I loved to draw as a child. I was always drawing. In fact, I had a reoccurring dream as a child that I would go to my closet and there would be all these paints and papers and wonderful things to draw with and paint with, and just like, you know, an abundance of things, which it never seemed like I had enough paint or paper. You know, as an artist, you just want to create something and then toss it aside and then create something else. And as a child, it was just this wonderful dream that I would wake up and run to my closet and it wasn't full, and I was so disappointed. So I had a lot of painting and drawing and that kind of thing, and I got to a point where I was actually kind of I don't know, bored with it. I wanted to do something else, but I just didn't know what. And when we were in Fort Collins, I took an altered bookmaking class and created my first altered book, and I loved it so much. I LOVE loved it, that I had to sleep with it next to the side of the bed because I had to wake up in the morning and look at it. And it combined everything that I had done and then other new techniques that I had never tried, and lots of texture. And I fell in love with mixed media. I fell in love with being able to have the freedom to move from one medium to another and to create a piece that had lots of texture and lots of beauty, and could tell a story in a different way. And freedom, you know, that's what mixed media represents to me, having great freedom. And honestly, we all need that sense of freedom right now, don't we? I mean, I know I certainly feel like we could use a dose of freedom these days. And while I love painting, and I love it all. And so it seems natural to put it all together and to create something really beautiful with it. So I hope that answered your question, Terry. So I've always been inspired to give back and to offer some kind of inspiration and creativity to other people. I always felt that that creativity is so important for everyone, whether you're an artist or a maker or an artisan or a crafter. It doesn't really matter if you're creating on a professional basis or not. It always seemed like it was important to offer that sense of creativity to others. And so that's why I started writing for Stampington magazine. I wanted to instill some creativity and offer some inspiration to other people. And then when this opportunity came up and Don said, hey, why don't you have a YouTube channel, which really was all his idea. I mean, as far as I was concerned, YouTube was all about skateboarders and, you know, and people that, you know, could do all kinds of incredible things that I couldn't do. So, but I'm so happy because we can offer creativity and inspiration to so many other people this way. And that was the whole point of writing for Stampington and creating art for them. Wow, we're almost at chow for now, and I had a lovely time stitching with you today, and I hope you learned some new things about me since you wanted to know. So next time we get together, we're going to make a book. We're going to put all the pages together, and it's going to be just gorgeous. And if you liked stitching, let me know. Put it in the comments, and I have some ideas for making some stitched pieces that would just be frameable, and I'm excited about that. And so I can't wait to see you again next time. Thank you so much for being here. Be well, take care. We send you our love, and ciao for now.